The Alldus podcast is brought to you by Alldus International, supplying your expert AI and digital transformation staffing needs across the US and Europe. Today, you are listening to our ServiceNow series, where we interview the best and brightest of the industry to share their story, advice, and views on the exciting world of ServiceNow and digital transformation.
Good morning, it's Mark Kelly here, Alldus Chief Customer Officer, and I'm very, very happy to welcome you to our ServiceNow podcast series. And today we have Ashutosh Munot, Certified Technical Architect, Dev MVP twice, and Community MVP 4 times. Ashutosh, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show today.
Thanks, Mark. It's my pleasure to be here on your show.
Ashutosh, tell us a little bit about your journey to now in ServiceNow, because so many people will know you as the go-to guy for advice and you're offering so much within the community. But how did you get into this world?
So for me, it was an interesting journey because I'm an engineer with a background. Then I did my master's. I was hired by a company in India as a business analyst, and I moved as a business analyst on ServiceNow. But I fell in love with this tool, and then I started developing and coding into this tool. So my first introduction with ServiceNow was, okay, this is a tool, this is an ITSM tool. But when I started learning this tool, I felt that it's not only ITSM, it has so much capabilities. And then that was the trigger for me to get involved more and more into technical details of ServiceNow. So back in 2014, I was introduced with ServiceNow. Then I moved into the technical part of ServiceNow. I started learning it. And the great part is, for a couple of early years of my IT career, now I have total experience of almost 9 to 10 years. So the first 2 years I was learning via community. So the community side of ServiceNow, I was learning from that particular area. And that is how I started also contributing towards ServiceNow community back. So that was my first introduction with ServiceNow, and then the journey started. Then I moved from one company to another. And the best part is, because of the MVP title, I was able to move to Netherlands, and then hired me from India directly.
I love the way you use the community to learn and grow, and then you're giving back as you're learning and growing. And it's just a really nice cycle that just continues and continues. And the MVP title enabled you to have further success in your job prospects, and then able to move to Netherlands. And as you were telling us before our call today, you live in a really nice forest area too, where you can go for runs, and it changed your life being able to get that access.
Indeed. And because of that, I was able to move to this area, near to water, near to forest. I'm enjoying my life with my son. Just for the listeners, my son is now 1.5 years old. So we both are enjoying our run.
So you're still continuing the projects in terms of giving back to the community, as well as your day-to-day job, which is a certified technical architect. And any certified technical architect I know are on a lot of calls and are very busy because they're just ingrained in the project in so many different facets. How do you add that value, and how do you stay, I suppose, that bigger why for you to continue to do it? Because so many things, family life, work life, it can be challenging to do it all.
Interesting part, because yes, I am very busy during my office hours, but somewhere I find a time to give back to the community and to create like videos, to do podcasts. I have my own podcast with one of my colleague Dhruv, and I am doing that balance. And to be honest, you need support to do this. So some credit goes to my wife. She also supports me to do these extracurricular activities, and I'm very passionate about ServiceNow. I like to do something outside of my work hours. And as a person, I want to be on top of the things. So I read a lot. I listen to videos people creating on the community. And that is how I get motivated. So if someone is creating the video, why can't I create it? And why can't I also have my own website and publish my content there? So it's about passion. I'm really passionate about it.
Tell us a little bit about stakeholders in terms of helping them get the most out of the platform and genuine return on investment, because it's so much learning. You need to get your head around it. There's so many problems worth working on. However, you do need to try to generate return on investment that the business starts to see. Any advice on that?
So my previous answer actually relates to this. I learn a lot. I read a lot. I try to map the business requirement with the value it will give. So if a stakeholder comes with a problem statement to us, what I will do is I will first do an analysis of that problem, and then I will do a solution mapping with it. So which solution can be used to overcome this problem? Let's take a simple example of automating a catalog item. So it is not only about automating the catalog item, but it is also about giving the power to you as a user so that you can maintain it on yourself. So App Engine Studio is the solution for it. So what I do usually is I take the problem, I tell them the solution that how you can do it, and then I always end with a return on investment. So if you do implement App Engine Studio, if you do citizen development, and if you treat or if you train someone within your team to maintain this, you will have two things. One is you can deploy the app, you can deploy the changes quickly to production. Second, your Excel process or Outlook process, which you are doing currently, is automated within ServiceNow, and in no time, if you have a proper source control mechanism within your organization or within your team, you can deploy the application to production in a go. So I always try to keep that in mind, and I'm pretty straightforward and honest that if this is possible, this is possible. If this is going to take more customizations, and if the customization needs more maintainability, then I can say no to that solution, and then we propose a different solution to them.
So you're letting them know this is the reality. This is what kind of customization you're going to need in the future. And if you go down that road, this type of maintenance. So you're very transparent with people about what's happening. And I think everybody prefers that because it's one thing to generate new features or work. The maintenance, customization, the future can be substantial and people may not want to go on that journey.
Yeah, because if we do that in the early stages, you can maintain your relationship with the stakeholder. That is one. Transparency is always best. And second, as a platform owners, we will not get haunted in the later on stages, because if we implement something which has a bad practice in it or which is not a perfect solution, I would not say perfect, but not a good solution, in future it will not come back to us as a central team, and it will not hamper the performance of the platform, and then we don't have to revisit it. So if you want to give a return on investment, you should be transparent and clear in the early stages of the project.
Can you give me some examples? And I don't need to have customer names or anything like that, but where you've helped customers in terms of return on investment. You mentioned searching on a catalog or anything else where you're saving that person time and energy or helping with the moments that.
So for me, the most important part is how can you reduce the man hours? How can you automate more and more? And how can you help the teams to deliver a solution to their stakeholders? So I will take an example where we had one process, which was a process in Excel sheet. We have to send it over an email, get it approved. It was about a firewall rule implementation. We have to send it via an email. The team will review it, they will approve it, then it will come back to us as a requester. We have to see if it has been published on one portal or not. If yes, then we have to request another request within ServiceNow. It was a simple form, and then a team will take it and implement it on the firewall. So this was a process where there were many teams involved and it was in silos. They were not connected. So what I did is I connected all these dots. All these silos were gone because every team was working in their own respective silos, and it can happen that they can get a duplicate request. So we sat together, we had a design implementation, and then the solution which we proposed was, I don't know if people, for my listeners, we are on the fly converting a JSON file into YAML and forwarding that YAML to a pipeline, and that pipeline is actually implementing the rules on the particular firewall checkpoint tool, let's say. Also, there is an Ansible integration involved in this. So all these things, we did automate few things. And then the most important part was auditing, that who is reviewing this particular part, who is approving this particular request if it has to be implemented. So there were 2 steps approval, and all this information was forwarded to a third-party tool, and they used to do a validation that, okay, the approver is actually the owner or a delegated asset owner of that application or not. If yes, if the approver is the either of two person, then that process which we automated was implementing that particular rules automatically on the firewall. So what happened by implementing this? We were able to reduce the man hours. So I will not take man hours. I will take number of days to implement the request. Initially via Excel sheet and email, it used to take like more than 5 working days to implement a request. But when we automated this, we were able to reduce those 5 days into 1.5 days. And right now, the solution is running perfectly and many people are using it. So I'm proud of that. And this is something which we did as a part of citizen development. So we laid down the foundation, we laid down the data model, the governance around it, and then we handed it over to our citizen developers. So at the moment, they are maintaining it. We are just supporting them if something complex things has to be implemented or fixed.
You are listening to the Alldus podcast. When you're looking to scale your team, or if you are interested in showcasing your company in a future episode, reach out today. Or if you're in the market for a new role, visit our website to view open positions, www.alldus.com.
Before I go into citizen development, which I think is really important, why is auditing the most important?
Because if you are a financial based company or a banking company, you get audited on yearly, sometimes half yearly basis. And if your particular case is picked for auditing, and if you do not have proper logs or proper approval mechanism and proper trace of that particular request, you have to go via a risk assessment. And then if someone from this area is listening to me, they know the pain to prove things. And here what ServiceNow plays a major role. Everything is in one tool. You have all the logs in an activity log. You have everything at a one place where you can see, and you can also attach the evidences, for example, to that particular request which we are submitting, like the file which is getting converted from JSON to YAML and so on. For me, auditing is important because it proves how properly you're governing your particular platform, how strict you are with particular rules which you have committed to. And this is all about compliance. We, as an insurance company or banking company, should respect that, and we have to prove many things. That's the reason I think auditing is vital in an organization.
Another thing that's vital in an organization is citizen development, Citizen Zero, and getting people on the platform using it low code, no code, not having to come from a technical background. Tell me about how you empower the users and some of the satisfaction that comes from that, because we do know some of the challenges to get a small change or feature customization once. It can be very frustrating for people.
A basic thing is, so citizen development actually evolved because of the waiting times in the queue of a particular product owner's backlog. If you want to just change a single text for that particular catalog item, I would just use the term catalog item, you have to wait for a couple of sprints, which is, I think, not productive. And that's the reason we came up with the approach that, okay, we want to give you the power, and it's all about giving power to the citizen developers. And the citizen developers are nothing but low code, no code developers who do not have that technical knowledge. They just have to drag and drop the particular components within ServiceNow and make their process or implement their process in ServiceNow so that they can maintain it. They can change whenever they want to change it. I must say that to implement citizen development, you should have a vision, and that we had. Along with my POV, we really had a great vision, and we started and we invested on governance. So citizen development is not about just going and implementing it, just giving power to them, but to give power to people, you should have a great foundation. So we focused on the foundation. We said that, okay, if we have a strong foundation, then in future we will not get any issues, and we should make it, again, transparency was there. We said that, okay, we need to be transparent. What is possible and what is not possible has to be communicated in advance to the citizen developers, so that they will come up with a expectation that I can only do this. Then the second part is you should create an interest among the DevOps engineers within your organization. So not only DevOps engineers, but your business stakeholders as well. If you create interest of any tool, they will like it. So what we did, and that was our turning point, is we trained the citizen developers on ServiceNow and not outside the platform. Because if you do something outside the platform, you will lose the interest. And that was our main aim. So we created our own training within ServiceNow. And at the moment, it is automated. So you just have to submit one request. It will send you email. There are guided tours which are used to train a particular user. And at the end of that particular training, you will be able to automate a catalog item. So in short, you have to create that awareness within the organization about the citizen development, and you have to market it. And one last advice for citizen development is don't go big bang. You should start small. You should take baby steps, and then it will be in the long run will be a huge success for you.
So start small, create interest, awareness, and then market it.
Yeah.
Rather than big bang approach. Ashutosh, has there been any areas in your career where you've had challenges where you felt, whoa, I'm under a lot of pressure here, and there was important mentors, or you worked your way out of it? Because sometimes those challenging situations, particularly in the world of remote, it can be difficult to share. Anything that come to mind?
Again, the same example, citizen development, it was demand. There was a huge because our backlog was growing and many stakeholders were really not happy. Like I said, my PO, Paul, he came up with a problem statement that we have to solve this issue. What can you do to do this? And that was actually a pressured situation where we had to deliver this particular solution. And this solution should also give them a power of auto deployment towards production. And with ServiceNow, we, again, bit technical, we have update sets. And to move the update sets, it's really something we have to properly do. But we have source control. And all these things we evaluated first. So this challenge, to be honest, within 3 months, we were able to go live with the first team on this. And that was a huge challenge. It was a pressured situation indeed, because at the same time, we have to do a proper governance. We have to go via a change TCAP, for example. We have to prove that this will not hamper the production environment. There will be limited access given to this particular developers. It's not only about ServiceNow. It is also about compliance and governance outside of ServiceNow, because, like I said, we are audited. We have to prove the RASI matrix. We have to prove the segregation of duties. There were teams who were saying that we want credential storage which should not be visible to any other. All these scenarios, it was, so one term, citizen developer or development, is there in front of me, but behind that, there are so many topics which I had to think of and then come up with a solution. So it was for me a biggest challenge in my career at the moment. And the second thing was in the organization, you have to make sure that the CMDB is accurate and CMDB is up to date. So for that CMDB project, we wanted to implement discovery and event management and service mapping. So that was another challenge, to go sell ourselves, ServiceNow as a platform where we can say that, okay, we have a CMDB, all the processes are connected. CMDB is heart of the system. If you do discovery, what will happen? Because there was a lot of resistance. We don't want to give ServiceNow access to read our components and XYZ things, but we proved it, and it took some time, but now we see the success. Our CMDB, I will not say 100% accurate, but we are close to 80-85% now, and we have all the components, all the CIs within an organization. Not all, again, 80-85% things are there in ServiceNow. So I think for me, these two things were the biggest challenges.
Ashutosh, our previous guests asked the question to you, knowing that you were coming on. With all the acquisitions that ServiceNow have had in 2021, where do you see the platform going down, and what kind of new innovations do you think users can expect?
I think more investment in AI has been done by ServiceNow. We also see that many components or many modules within ServiceNow are getting AI capabilities. And that is where the focus lies in this world also. And the second thing is they acquired, I think, DotWalk, which is a company which also had an automation to do your automated test framework. So ServiceNow is trying to make our life as consultants and the customers more and more easy. Why customers? Because they are giving them the power to automate more and more things and having, for example, document intelligence, RPA. So this is all intelligence. This is what artificial intelligence, machine learning can do for you. And as a consultant, it is making our life easy because we know and we can do a solution mapping for a customer and prove them that, okay, if you buy this, you can have this particular advantage. And ServiceNow is doing a great job in marketing their tools from the beginning. So what I see is the acquisitions are more towards automation and more towards making the life of the customer easy and solving the problems. They are also entering few segments, like for example, ESG, they are entering other segments which we never thought of. And that is what I like.
Fantastic. Automation and the new emergence of segments that we may not have thought about, such as ESG. Great answer. And Ashutosh, your question for our next guest. Any question come to mind?
So for me, the most important part is mentorship and how can we generate more and more talent in ServiceNow ecosystem. So my question to the next guest will be, what are your thoughts and how can you do a mentorship and how can you help the ServiceNow ecosystem to generate more and more talent and to have some great consultants? And how will you motivate someone to go and learn ServiceNow?
Oh, I love that question. That's a really nice question. You've been listening to the Alldus podcast as part of our ServiceNow series. I've had the pleasure of chatting to Ashutosh Munot. Ashutosh is a certified technical architect living in the Netherlands, and he is a Dev Time MVP twice and a community MVP 4 times. Ashutosh, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you so much, Mark, for having me, and it was a pleasure to speak with you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Alldus podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any Android podcast of choice. You can also head over to our website, www.alldus.com, to listen to more podcasts, view our open roles, and stay up to date with industry news. Thanks for listening and stay tuned for more great episodes coming very soon.